A very warm welcome to everyone. And Shiv, delighted to have you here. It's been a while. So for all of you, Shiv used to be the vice chairman of the board when I was the CEO of ITC Ltd. But more than that, we've enjoyed many a great conversation. And Shiv is one of those very versatile people with a lot of in-depthness to whatever he does. So like I had probably mentioned this to many of you, not only is he a leading corporate leader and a corporate citizen, but he's also very entrepreneurial and has a deep passion for nonprofit. So we couldn't think of anyone better for our one-year anniversary celebrations to come and share his thoughts. Often than not, his thoughts are very deep and extremely inspiring. We will keep this session interactive like all our sessions. But first, we will lead it with a chat, and we will ask him questions and have him reflect. But then we will also be taking your questions towards the end. We've factored a little over an hour for this session. And without further ado, an extremely warm welcome to you, Shiv.
Yeah, thanks, Sushma. Great pleasure to be here. We've been talking about possibly doing this for some time now, but I think it worked out well. Looking forward to this evening.
Wonderful. So here's how we plan to do it, Shiv. Between Shanti, Sudha, and I, we will, ask a few questions, and that should probably take, maybe 30 to 40 minutes, and then we'll open it up for questions. Jubi and Sabrina, who are also two of our other core members. So we have 5 women. Of course, we have some extremely committed men who support us, but the core team is the 5 of us. Sabrina and Jubi, can you just turn your cameras on and say hello to Shiv? I don't see them. I see Jubi. I saw Sabrina.
Hi.
Oh, that is Sabrina.
Okay.
Good morning.
Hi, Sabrina. Hi,
evening.
Jubi.
So with that, I'm going to have Shanti take the first set of questions. Over to you, Shanti.
Thank you, Sushma, and Shiv, pleasure meeting you on this call. I've heard so much about you from Sushma, such great things. So it's an honor to be able to kickstart this conversation with you. And I'd like to take you down memory lane as a youngster. You graduated from IRMA and then joined the Farmers Cooperative, but soon you pivoted to ITC and corporate life. What inspired you or what prompted you to join the corporate sector after agriculture?
Yeah, I think to respond to what prompted me to join ITC, I think like you mentioned, the previous 2 steps also in some sense would be relevant to briefly touch upon. The reason I chose to join IRMA in the first instance is when I saw the possibility of enterprise as a solution to poverty alleviation, the Dr. Kurian's model. And there was a further backstory. I won't get into it as to why poverty alleviation and where the bell of my heart rang in my undergraduation. And then after that, it was a natural movement into the cooperative from IRMA. And about 7 years, I worked in this Gujarat cooperative that worked on the oilseeds farmers, pretty much replicating the model that was tried out in the milk in the oilseed sector. But over this period, then I had realized that many contextual conditions of oilseeds are pretty different from milk, and so for other agriculture products also where it was tried out. And the purpose remained the same in terms of enterprise as a solution to poverty alleviation. The means, I thought, if cooperative is not going to work, then what are the other options? Let me explore. That's when ITC was diversifying into the vegetable oils and the oilseeds sector in the late 80s. And two things in ITC really appealed to me at that time. This was 1989. Now I'm talking about. One is the ITC's philosophy of shared prosperity. Those who are familiar with Andhra Pradesh and the tobacco heartland, the farmers call ITC the Thalli company or the mother company. So that was the extent of how ITC was trusted by the farmers, and that resonated is one place where I could explore this. And the second thing I had read about at that stage in ITC in one of the business magazines was what is called the preneurial DNA, a professional entrepreneur. I said, "Yeka, this certainly can then provide the right platform besides the larger learning experience and the global opportunity that exists in the oilseed space." So I think that the reason when I went into IRMA and then to cooperative, and as I moved into ITC, the purpose remained the same in terms of enterprise as a solution to poverty alleviation. This is the discovery of what actually will make it happen led me to ITC. And this is now my 36th year in ITC. Since then, my second job, but I'm here.
Very nice. That's really great to hear. And I'm guessing that somewhere along the way, the objective with which you joined ITC has been fulfilled for you to have stayed there for so long. One of the innovations that you're credited with, and it's very popular, and in some ways it does it uses enterprise to serve the farmer as well, has been the 𝗟𝗲𝗱𝗏 initiative. It was a very big and bold bet at a time when technology and agriculture were, worlds apart, I'm guessing. How did that come about? What was the inspiration for that? And what can we take away from that experiment that you started?
The technology offers an opportunity to reimagine the value chains. As the early .com was happening around the world in the late 90s, and ITC was exploring ways in which we'll find the business model for agricultural commodities after the India economic liberalization started off, and India also became a signatory to the WTO in agriculture and markets were globalizing. In that context, how do we ensure that Indian agriculture becomes globally competitive? And then Indian exports find their rightful markets. And that was the time as the .coms were happening around the world. We saw that, technology gives us that opportunity to reimagine the value chains rather than just trying to be more efficient in the traditional way of doing things. And that led us to look at what is it that we can do in agriculture, especially when it is dealing with very large number of small farms. And that technology can make that fundamental difference in terms of even for very traditional supply chain, like the oil seeds where it got kicked off and subsequently in grains and then subsequently across 20 different value chains. But the starting point was that just by virtue of using internet technology those days to discover price for the farmer in the village was good enough to eliminate the need for one step of taking the produce to a third place before it reaches the factory or a warehouse. And that meant cost savings. Simultaneously, what it also enabled is that a larger value, in fact, is because the produce traceability, identity preservation was possible because the farmer was bringing the produce directly to our hub location rather than going through Mandi or the third place where the produce got aggregated. So that instantly enabled the value for three different stakeholders, just that one part of price discovery in the village. Firstly, farmer did not have to sink the cost of transportation and time, after which he was only a price taker in a mandi. The farmer can decide when and where to sell. And so the entire empowerment that happened to farmers was one bit. And second is by virtue of identity preservation traceability, consumer got value. The big brand that came out of that round of action in 𝗍𝗲𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃 is the ITC's 𝗍𝗲𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃 brand, because it was a commodity. The atta was a commodity, and once it got appropriate blends through this identity preserved supply chain, that delivered value to the consumer. And because of the cost savings and incremental value, it delivered value to from a consumer surplus to the ITC in terms of shareholder value. So just with one bit of price discovery, which reorganized the whole value chain, the value got created, and therefore naturally it was the differentiator, and therefore all bets were laid on it, and it is just the starting point with which that value was visualized, and thereafter many other models got built in the subsequent series of 𝗍𝗍𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃.
Such a wonderful story about technology for the greater
When
good.
we say poverty alleviation,
Go ahead, Sudha. Go ahead.
yeah, I was saying, when you say poverty alleviation, it kind of scares people off. You start to think this is charitable work or social service. But when you kind of say it as you did in terms of ushering prosperity as business people, as technologists, it suddenly makes you also a candidate in this journey, right? Like for most professionals who are on this call, it's very inspiring to see that you do have a role to play, even if you do not do that message. You're going to add to it, Shiv?
Yeah, so I think when I said enterprise as a solution to poverty, I was probably very brief because the context of the question was quite different. But I think the issue is that there are many routes to dealing with the poverty, inequality in this world. Certainly there are government welfare programs, and there is philanthropy and charity and many of that. But enterprise as a solution, both from a scale and sustainability perspective, enterprise from the poor people themselves, as well as enterprise along the whole value chain. And when you create these enterprise models, it is for good. You be good and do good, as opposed to as a philanthropic or charity kind of a work. Because everything else has a limitation in terms of what you could do. But if that's why I was saying shared prosperity is really that the way enterprise engage with these value chains profits more is by ensuring that the participants, in this case, the producers like farmers, it could be downstream partners very similarly as well, they benefit more, their incomes go up. And the way their incomes go up is with the enterprises also gaining more to the value that gets created. I think that virtuous cycle, certainly I believe, is a very important tool in really resolving this issue of inequality in the world, and poverty just being one dimension of it.
Absolutely.
Sushma, you have your hand up.
Yeah, I couldn't but chime in and say that some of the underlying principles with which we've started Second Careers sort of espouses this shift, okay? The notion of enterprise as a route to prosperity. Prosperity, be it by way of gainfully keeping oneself occupied, making sure that the experience that people over the age of 45 have collected, and that does not have to sit on a shelf getting dusted, right? So the essence of what you're talking about is the essence with which we've started Second Careers. And I had to simply come in and say that. So thanks. And you've been a big part of that inspiration. I haven't eloquently shared that until today, and I'm going to liberally borrow your line. Enterprise is a route to prosperity. Back to you, Shanti.
I'm going to pick up on the same thread, Shiv, and actually wrap up the first section of our conversation. My question to you is, we've seen a lot of people on our platform, on the Second Careers platform, who come with experience in agriculture. They've held actually very good roles. They're subject matter experts. many of them are looking for second careers, but some of them are also looking at becoming entrepreneurs and contributing back to the world of agriculture. What would your advice to people who want to be in agriculture but be entrepreneurs? What would your advice to them be, and what is the path to get there?
See, I think as I see it, as someone said, agriculture just in India is a $1 trillion opportunity that is waiting to be tapped. The reason is that obviously enterprise is where the problems exist. Large problems exist in agriculture, and the problem need to be also tackled at a micro and nano level. Large does not just leave it at a very macro level. Therefore, where there are problems, there is enterprise, and where there's enterprise, there's opportunity for entrepreneurs and across the whole canvas. The large problems include the natural resource depletion, water, topsoil, clean air, all of that is a problem, and therefore the way one can deepen the work on precision farming, a whole lot of things, whether one does farming oneself or one converts, because now agriculture has become more and more a knowledge business. It is not just the drudgery and the hard work and risk and gambling, as it were. It's become a knowledge business, and there are many components there. Climate change is become an important element, another problem, which is almost existential, and therefore the climate forecasts and response to climate in terms of resilience or mitigation in terms of carbon sequestration. Many of that, starting with advisory to action, there are plenty of opportunities there. Post-harvest losses remains a major issue in India in terms of, therefore, supply chain management is an area of plenty of those kind of solutions. Customers look for a lot more today for safer food and traceable food that is contributing to more wellness. There are plenty of market linkage opportunities which are there. Farmers are small, but starting with the precision farming that I was talking about, require a lot of equipment. If there is one space which is ripe for Uberization, that is the farm equipment space, and therefore ripe for innovation. Fintech is an area there's a lot of opportunities. So I think all of these, while there are headlines in terms of problem areas and therefore innovation, therefore enterprise, therefore entrepreneurial opportunities, I can say the opportunities are at 3 levels. So one is on a small scale at a localized solutions that can be offered to from the consumers to the farmer level, anywhere along the whole chain. There can be a host of small businesses. At a second level, there is a platform opportunity. The ITC 𝗟𝗲𝗃𝗃, today in the version 4.0, we call it ITC Mars, is a platform opportunity. And many of these localized businesses, many of these specialized businesses, a lot of them use technology. Platforms really provide a plug and scale opportunity. It's a full ecosystem where I just have an innovation in terms of how do I do a hyperspectral imaging for disease diagnostics. They can plug and scale using ITC Mars as a platform. So that's the second level solutions. And like ITC Mars, there are other players as well who could do this. And a third level is where, say, there is an opportunity in terms of creating digital public infrastructure or digital public goods, which really creates scalable opportunities both for type 1 and type 2 that I talked about. So people who can visualize and support and build various elements of that digital public infrastructure and goods is the other kind of opportunity. I think so. Therefore, when one says $1 trillion opportunity waiting to be tapped, I certainly am one who is really a convert that there's a full spectrum of opportunity that exists in agriculture.
Thank you, Shiv. I think that is, you started off with entrepreneurial opportunities in agriculture, but opened up a whole host of other disciplines that can actually get into agriculture. through their own specialization, whether it's supply chain, whether it is, technology, or it's even sustainability and climate change and so on. So thank you. I think that's very illuminating for me, and I'm sure it is for our audience as well. I'm going to turn it over to Sudha, who's eagerly waiting to ask you her questions. Sudha, over to you. Yeah.
This is a bit of changing gears, and I think we'll have you wear your group head of IT for ITC hat for the questions I'm curious about. We're entering into this age of AI and soon post-AI, where all sectors, and particularly sectors like IT services, are getting hugely disrupted. Now, AI in the workplace is, almost every future of work report is talking about the large-scale displacement of the workforce. It's also industry disrupting in the sense that margins will shrink. There's going to be a mad race for pennies, literally, and a further aggravation of the 1% problem becoming a 0.1 and a 0.01% problem. In this world, Shiv, as someone that has, I'm sure, thought about these issues deeply, would love to understand your take. Is this hype? Is this fear-mongering? Is this real? And how should one, as a professional, prepare for this future, particularly if you are in your 40s and looking at eventual scale down of your work life?
Yeah, I think when it comes to AI and all the point that you made, as you're saying, what is occurring to me is that everything is true and equally opposite is also true. Yes, it's a great opportunity and obviously a potential threat. And that's the reason there are all sides of arguments that exist. And therefore, the importance of really understanding it well to navigate and make use of the opportunities that it can provide. In terms of the way it would impact, needless to say, at the very elementary level, tasks get more efficient from the conventional automation to Gen AI to currently more popular agentic to the next phase of the AGI and potentially ASI. And there's a whole sequence of movement that is happening. At the very core, simple tasks will get automated, and therefore jobs which are there will have a challenge unless they are reimagined. That is one. The jobs there include things like naturally the repetitive tasks, the reporting jobs, the analytical jobs, and those kind of things. But the other opportunities which go with it are that because of the AI, there are opportunities in terms of hyper personalization that was unthinkable in the past. Going back to agriculture conversation that we had, again to illustrate that every farmer would want a personalized advisory on what I need to do just now, as opposed to what global best practice is. What is the right practice for me needs to be personalized to me. That is now possible because of AI. But it's not only just personalized to me, but it needs to be contextualized to what is happening around me, contextualized to what is happening to the crop at this point of time. That means it's both real time and properly external factors which are also brought in. There again, one can use agents to integrate that today. So the opportunities of hyper personalization, whether in a consumer context, and the same thing holds good. Are more complex problems like coordination problems that exist. Farmers also want end-to-end solutions, as we do as consumers. It's far easier for us to get end-to-end solutions in an urban context in terms of information, knowledge, the actual activities, the credit and logistics and those kind of things coming together is also something which is possible. The basic point of saying some of this is that the newer roles and jobs that will get created are in these spaces. So in terms of in everyone's own field of work, it is important to really understand what these changes that are taking place and therefore where the newer roles are getting created and therefore how does one gear up. So at a high level, certainly opportunities exist and certainly threats are also there. And that's a kind of a perspective that I can share at a high level.
And for individuals at mid-level of management, perhaps even senior management, what does this mean in terms of planning their learning and personal development maps or whatever? Yeah.
So one is in terms of the blending domain with whatever is one's domain, whether it is financing, accounting, molecular biology, or software engineering, whatever be the nature of work that somebody is doing, there is some domain expertise that is there. And then there is a whole issue of the data interpretation and AI angle to the whole thing. So that intersection between technology and the domain, I mean, I would call it, let's say, a T-shaped professional is the template there. The vertical bar in the T is really about that domain. How in my own specific area of specialization do I get deeper and deeper in terms of my knowledge and therefore need for continuous learning there, need for staying contemporary there, and need for being, ability to solve problems with a nuanced understanding. So those kind of elements are deepening the domain is the vertical side of the T. And the horizontal side of the T is really about, while I have depth in something, my ability to understand cross-domain in terms of what are the impact of these on other domains. Maybe in production, that silos was good enough and not really bothered so much of marketing in the past. But in the era when AI is really more a workflow kind of organization than a vertical kind of organization, it is important to have that cross-disciplinary understanding to some extent. So the ability to collaborate across some of these areas, which means basically communication skills, listening skills, which is part of that communication, collaboration there. So I think some of these elements become important. So when you combine this is your T-shaped professional, obviously a more advanced version, or we also call it, just for reference, a pie-shaped professional or a comb-shaped professional, so that you have more than one domain depth and multiple domains depth, which is also feasible, but that's more, I leave it as outliers. But the core is that in the AI era, for the 40s and 50s, the best template to work on is the T-shaped, so that we remain as contemporary for this tomorrow's world as much as we are for yesterday's world.
Thank you very much for that. Sushma, would you like to continue?
Actually, Shiv, you said something that is, I think, at the core, right? Blending domain expertise. So one of the cornerstones with which Second Careers is operating is that we are a platform. First and foremost, we have a community. And why is that community important? It's because people learn from each other. People can soak, experiences, share experiences. The second bit is a constant upskilling and uplearning, if I can use that word. And the third is actually a component we are going to be launching, which is assessments. People, I think, now have to acutely start thinking about what makes them unique and how can they hone and bring that experience that they have in a world which is technology-led, right? And the last component is obviously jobs and how jobs are changing. So our platform takes into account both fractional as well as full-time job. So Shiv, in this context, what are the 2 or 3 things you would tell the people 45 and above to do to remain relevant?
So I think besides the strengthening the T shape that I was talking about, one is on the tech literacy, more importantly, the AI literacy within tech as a more generic kind of a thing. See, how to frame problems for AI is a different skill, because if the domain depth is in more nuanced problem solving that one is really expected to, then how does one make use of AI to do it? And therefore, how do I give the frame that problem and provide, or how do I interpret the AI output that is coming? So that is one kind of work, because basically, simply stating, this is like if from doing tasks, one is really looking at shifting towards orchestrating outcomes. Going back to agriculture and the climate change and how does one fit, and then using that as an illustration to put some flesh into what I'm saying. If there is climate change, we need to deal with it. The step one is climate forecast. And plenty of AI goes into forecasting AI. And once forecasts are done, it is used for many different purposes. But applying it in case of agriculture, the domain specialists who are really framing this problem, like I was saying, are interpreting the output, was saying that if each of the weather parameter is getting changed at different points of time, for various phenological stages of a crop, how it is impacting positive or negative, positive for yield or negative for quality or vice versa, or positive for both and so on. And therefore, then cross-discipline of what is the toolkit I prepare for agronomy, and therefore prompt a farmer for instant action. So there are different, what was earlier silos coming together, and at the same time, what problem that I'm really feeding in to this various AI models that one is working on. So the tasks that different professionals within agriculture that people were doing are not anymore the roles that the same people are playing. People are reskilled to really now to look at, okay, how do I build resilience to agriculture is the outcome that I'm orchestrating, therefore whatever that goes into it. So that is really one aspect of how to really combine this domain with the collaborative effort, what I'm saying as a T, that really becomes one element. The other changes which occur as a result of this, and what is also happening to the world of jobs at once, is that there's an interesting paradox that on one side, there is a longevity of careers. Because with the longevity in general, life expectancy, so therefore there's much longer kind of careers compared to what one was doing. When, let's say, for example, when I entered my first job, say about 35 years of career is what is considered as a normal kind of career life. I mean, I already done 43 years. So that's the, but at the same time, while at the beginning of the conversation I was saying I am in my 36th year at ITC, but that is not the norm anymore. In terms of how the longevity of careers, the paradox is really the shortening of spans in each job. So that's one side of shift that is happening. And the second side is that, today the other phrase which has become quite common is the fractional CXOs. That you are in playing multiple roles. The gig work, as it were, is not just for the gig work at the tech or bottom end of the pyramid, but the fractional CXOs is another kind of a gig work which is happening today at the middle and top as well. And therefore, how does one reconcile this longer careers with fractional CXO context is an interesting juxtaposition that one would work. And again, fractional CXO is only one method, but the plenty of other opportunities in the form of the number of people over the last 10 years that have seen either retiring corporate professionals or mid-career corporate professionals, like you're saying, in their 40s and 50s, moving out and getting trained as executive coaches and mentors, and helping out the companies which are mid-scale, which are aspiring to become large, the support that is required for them. Are the startups which can get into scale that is required there. So 0 to 1 startups and other small and medium businesses have done well. It's 1 to 10 and 10 to 100 kind of scaling where the domain expertise and some of these AI skills where people can play that kind of a role. So I think these are all the kind of set of opportunities that are available, and therefore preparing for each one is somewhat different. If the first one I put emphasis on being AI literate and digital literate, for the second one, it is in terms of some of these collaborative skills and getting trained in the some of these coaching ability. Not every good manager is a good coach, and therefore the need for those kind of getting trained in coaching skills. So therefore, depending on one's own bent and the bias of which of these routes would I want to take, or would I want to look at all of them as a portfolio, in which case you prepare accordingly. So, but the nature of opportunities are these varied, and therefore the preparation also is accordingly to be done.
So Shiv, very interesting point about a portfolio of careers. And for those of you who attended our session with Ravi Venkatesan, for instance, he talked a lot about portfolio of careers. And over time, if you analyze, we all have a portfolio, right? You look at Shiv's portfolio. Shiv is a corporate who's who in the world of large companies in India. But he's also an entrepreneur. He supports entrepreneurial efforts. He supports nonprofits in a big way. And each one of us begin to doing that. And that's the luxury I think we have in this phase of 45 plus, that you can afford to have a portfolio of things that you can do, some that are remunerative and some that are actually giving back. So Shiv, I'm going to ask you one key question, and then I'm going to open it out to 4 questions. We do have a lot of questions on the chat. So Shiv, there is so much written about how there would be mass-scale job displacement. And then there'll be this new set of jobs that are going to be created. And of course, people like McKinsey talk about how the net gain will actually be positive. But the timing of it all, right? What's your view of how, whether it's a corporation, whether it's a nonprofit, whether it's a small to medium enterprise, how are people looking at this whole job shift? Are there 1 or 2 jobs that you think are going to be absolutely something we should all bet on? Like 30 years ago, we all bet on computers, right? What is that? What is going to be the outcome of this net gain? And any perspective and actually practical examples that you can share would be worth its weight in gold.
So besides the broader kind of roles I was talking about in terms of, cross-domain and collaborative and all those kinds of things, just focusing within AI-linked jobs, if that's a kind of a question, how does one look at the model risk? AI does not mean that what is given is the right answer, and for any kind of a context. Therefore, how does one look at the model risk for any context or new jobs which will be really there? Domain-specific applications are the jobs. Within the services industry, there's plenty of jobs in the data governance. Like in the earlier era, we had the cybersecurity expanding. Now the whole observability and the trust systems out of AI, those kind of jobs are expanding. Change management is going to be a big area for that side of the equations. I think the role titles will be different and nature of skills that will be there are different, but there are many of these jobs which were not existing in the past are the new jobs. Besides the net plus minus that one is looking at, if the underlying repetitive reporting, analytical, and these kind of jobs are going, there are qualitative jobs like interpretation and application and orchestrating outcomes and those kind of jobs. Then there are collaboration-related, workflow-related jobs. And then there are IT, AI-specific jobs that I just listed. So they are simultaneous. There is no sequencing in terms of saying that new jobs will get created and then the old jobs will be lost or vice versa. Yeah, for individuals, if I'm only doing something, unless I'm reskilling and looking at it, obviously it will be a job loss. Or those who are getting trained afresh and coming in, it's an upside opportunity that is there. But both are happening simultaneously.
So that's basically a call for be a little introspective, ask yourself the question. You don't have to become an AI expert, but at least be aware of what AI can. And with that in mind, Shiv, we have done the first bout of training for everybody. We opened it out to everybody, but only 40 people chose to answer because to accept it, because there's a lot of fear. Oh, can I do AI? Is it within my within my capability to do it? And we basically tell people that AI will become tomorrow's Excel and Word, okay? So, or better still, it'll become a WhatsApp.
Yeah,
So
no, far easier. So I think it's just a question of, I think there are intermediaries which will make it easier. And I presume the platform that you are building is something that can also do.
Right.
For example, when you say AI, obviously it needs to be contextual and all of that. How do you really create your prompts right? All of those kind of questions remain at one end.
Right.
But today in ITC Mars, for example, we have the 𝗟𝗲𝗰𝗵𝗹 natural language interface for the farmers in their own language. Rest of the job is done by us as a platform. If a farmer can simply switch on the mobile phone and ask inside the ITC Mars app in her own language to say that my leaf is becoming yellow, what do I do? That's all that is required to be done. But rest of the agentic flows are enabled by the platform to say that, okay, where is the farmer speaking from? What is the crop? When has she actually planted? Which variety has gone into the soil? what is the soil test, all of that is the data which is already there as part of the system. And then what is the farmer profile, how many labor are available within the family, what is the farm size as the profile, and then the external conditions which come from the other end in terms of what are the weather forecasts, how is the disease movement, and so on. And then it digs through our database in the first instance, because our own database, because otherwise you can't have for this life important kind of decisions just hallucinate and provide some kind of funny answer there. It has to be within a reliable database, and therefore dig through our database and then go back and answer in the same natural language, whatever is the, and then respond. So the rest of the contextual engineering is managed by the platform. So I think those who are more, you can say, leverage algorithms and write all of this code will enable and facilitate. But at least understanding the possibilities and doing it is the job that all of us can do in our own respective areas. So that make use of it is the opportunity. I think the role that you can play as a platform in this context is enormous.
Great. With that, Shiv, I'm going to take, there are a lot of audience questions. So audience, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to read it in the interest of time. Feel free to, show up on video, but I will get to raised hands later, time permitting, okay? So here's the first question from 𝗧𝗲𝗰𝗵𝗹 It's a great question. Are boards equipped to assess leadership capabilities in addressing unforced challenges, and what mechanisms do they use to validate or measure leadership effectiveness? Is it based on revenue, growth, or broader organizational impact? Shweta, this will take Shiv probably. He can talk about it for 3 hours, but over to you, Shiv.
Yeah, so I think for a question like this, there is no one right answer, because every board is at a different level to make these kind of assessments. Now the board risk management committees are integral part and is a very zoomed in view of multiple risks, including the risks that you have outlined. Of course, in the rapid pace at which things are changing, certainly there are only fewer companies which are better equipped, a larger majority are not. And therefore, the concern that you expressed and that preparedness certainly is a challenge. But those that are agile in terms of even this area, like everything else, will be able to navigate this challenge much better. But I say that, yeah, the large majority are not, but certainly more professional, more agile kind of boards do have systems for all of this. Things very much. And they are so frequently reviewed. What we used to review once a year, some of these kind of areas are now done once in 6 months, and the frequency gets changed. And yeah, it's certainly an area of attention. That much I can say.
Fabulous. Overall, moving on to the next question. I'm going to shuffle the order a little bit. This is a question from 𝗟𝗲𝗰𝗵 𝗂𝗃. I'm not sure how engaged you are with ITC in Infotech. Well, he is. Shiv, you're still the vice chair, right?
Yeah.
Okay. How do you see unique experiences of senior people like at Second Careers be relevant and engaged? I'm going to broaden the question, not just to ITC Infotech, but to the IT industry per se, which is one of the industries that is getting plagued a lot at this point in time with the influx of AI on one hand, automation depleting jobs. What is the role for this cohort of 45 plus in the IT industry?
So I think certainly IT services industry is ripe for what we can call as the IT services 3.0. So the first round of more efficiency-led action is underway at this point of time. The workflows very much include digital agents along with people, and therefore how do you manage the digital agents, like you are managing human teams, and so all of that is now the game that is already underway. But I think what is more important shift that is going to happen is really in terms of how the activities, both for the services companies, like I was talking a little earlier, that let's say the trust assurance of AI-based systems is an interesting new field. And the services before AI adoption and services after AI adoption, a whole set of offerings that are evolving. In terms of, so AI really becomes useful only when you have your data available. Except that today, a lot more unstructured also is all right to deal with, because you create an additional layer from across many unstructured data sets. But how do you ensure that your whole data-related work is done right, your context-related work is done right, and the trust and observability that I talked about, and thereafter the whole change management that is done. So therefore, in the people who are familiar with the IT services 1.0 and 2.0 are those who can really play these kind of roles across. So it is the human element is an integral part of this change management. So I think that is the kind of a role that people at that part of the career can play that. So what activities are getting reimagined, changing for companies themselves as well as for the customers, as the customer's business. So I think moving from efficiency into reimagined activities, and therefore the role that one has to play is going to occur in the course of next 6 to 18 months. So I think gearing up for that is the crucial junction for any of the IT services companies.
There are a lot of ITC specific questions, which I'm not going to air because ITC is a publicly traded company, and questions about things like board membership, those would not be the right ones to ask. So I'm going to skip some of those questions. There is a question from Naresh Sadasivan. With tech infused into agriculture, how do we tackle at large underskilled agri workers? I can see with automation, more women being displaced, given that more farm workers are women. Similarly, tech-driven agri-data jobs are likely to be based out of urban centers, replacing rural workers.
Yeah, so I think in the smaller farms that we have, as opposed to very large monocrop kind of farms, the equipment that is supporting the farmers to reduce their drudgery as opposed to replacing is the nature of work that is going to gain more and more ground. And therefore, it's not so much of displacing labor as much as enhancing their productivity. So we are seeing some of those kind of innovations really gaining ground. And farming activity also has become more in terms of observing on the ground and responding. And while some of that activity can be done through sensors and that kind of automation, but again, interpreting some of that is what the farmers are able to do much better. Like we had talked at a company level, same thing is also happening at an agriculture level as to how do farmers interpret different data, and obviously platforms enable them to interpret that, whether it is the on-ground sensing or the remote sensing or the near-farm drone sensing. And so enabling the data for farmers to respond in terms of what to use is the area that is another area which is helping out. So I think in the automation are equipment that is removing the drudgery, removing complexity, and yet supporting farmers and the interpretation. These are the kind of things which are making it more knowledge-enabled work in the farmers. Given that small farms is unlikely to go away in the Indian context, I think this is the kind of a model which is working here, as opposed to large 1,000-acre farmers and being done to farmers. I think that is the situation where much of what you said will be relevant. But in our context, that's not happening.
Thank you, Shiv. So Rajneesh, you have an observation. Shiv has already spoken about the new skills, both technical and social, that are needed, particularly for senior people. I think that is a very well put point. But then the general impression that AI and robotics are an existential threat to people's livelihood, that is more nuanced in the short term versus long term. And that's really what we have been talking about. Folks, I think we have sort of come to the end. Is there any one last question anybody has? Otherwise, I would like to get to the closing remarks. The gentleman who, Prabhakar, you had your hand up a couple of times. Is there anything that you want to ask that has not been asked? You have to unmute yourself, Prabhakar.
Actually, it is not a question, but it is an advice which I seek from Sivakumar sir. Sir, in your journey, while doing transition or implementing various projects and all, you would have also had a lot of lows, ups and downs. So how did you cope up yourself and brought yourself back to the motivational level to perform, sir?
Yeah, I think the end purpose, when it remains as your North Star, and the belief that the highs and lows will keep happening, is what will really keep your emotional resilience strong. Certainly, there are always situations in terms of whether failed projects and business losses along the way, and ideas not getting accepted, and all of these are integral part. But if you're true to your North Star, I think you realize that yes, it's this too shall pass is the belief, and either you can do something about it, then do it. If you can't do anything about it, then you can certainly ride over it, is the approach that really helps.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
I can, as someone who's worked with
Can
Shiv.
Can I ask a question, please?
Of course, of course.
Okay,
Shiv,
I'm sorry I missed most of your conversation because I couldn't connect in the Bangalore traffic,
Okay.
though I tried. So I kind of caught you at the last fag end.
Yeah.
I have one question for you. Kentucky Fried Chicken, that guy, started this organization when he was at 70. What is your advice to people getting into startup at the age of 50, 60, and 70?
you're looking at three of us out here. So.
No, I meant myself.
Okay.
I meant myself.
So, no, I think that doesn't matter at what stage. I was talking about the longevity as one of the elements in the beginning, and certainly, therefore, any time is a good time to start. It's obviously any venture is a group effort. If you see that a certain kind of elements in that particular idea that you're executing as part of this startup require a certain kind of social network and relationships and experience. The 60s and 70s bring it well, and certain things require raw energy, and then different age groups can bring it. So how do you build your team? If age is one variable that you are bringing into the conversation, certainly that mix is something that you can put together. But by itself, there are strengths that you can bring as 60 or a 70, and then what you don't, then you blend your team with that complementary kind of age group or skill group. But I don't see that as a constraint given today's Because what technology also brings is the opportunity of, like I was saying earlier, fractional work, remote work, workflow teams. And so all of these are the flexibility that are available today that what was not conceivable earlier is now certainly possible. The power of idea is good enough to pursue any path.
Good. Thank you so much. This is, really reassuring, and I'm going ahead with my project.
Great.
Thank you
Best
so
wishes
much,
with
Shiva.
whatever your
Cool.
project is. Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you so much.
Please use Second Careers as your platform to hire people.
Sure.
Shiv, I don't know if you recollect, Sundar is my brother and he's also on the platform. He's also on our advisory board. So,
right, great.
Folks, we've spent a little more than 60 minutes having a delightful conversation. Let me bring this to a close. There are really very practical tips. Okay.
Is there video recording available, Sushma?
Yes, Sundar, we'll talk offline. Yes.
Okay.
So we dealt with a delightful set of questions. We had some very interesting nuggets. The most important being, please reimagine what your career has been, your background has been. How can you put it to productive use going forward? That reimagination component is absolutely essential. AI is a tool. AI is a tool to be mastered with various degrees of expertise, but it's going to become a commodity. It's going to become a utility to help you accelerate whatever you want to do. So AI literacy is all about knowing how to ask the right questions and knowing how to interpret and orchestrating the outcomes. So with that, I bring this to a close. Shanti Sudha, any closing comments? Shiv, any closing comments?
Yeah, I think at the end of this conversation and also with those remarks from Sundar, all I conclude is to say that there is no better time than now. While you are in US yourself just now, but as India is at the beginning of what is an Amrit Kal, I wish I was in my 40s or 50s, like your target group. But 60s is the next best. So I'm myself looking forward to an exciting Amrit Kal ahead. So I'm sure that's the kind of opportunity that everybody on this call has, and I wish everyone the very best.
Thank you very much for these remarks. And platform starts with people in their 40s, late 40s. Yeah. But there is no upper age limit. Everyone's welcome. In fact, many of our professionals, perhaps even on this call, are over 60. Your advice, the parallels to draw from what you said for agriculture in terms of the hyper-personalization opportunity also applies to the work that we're doing in second careers. In our use of AI, we do see the opportunity to help each person on the platform achieve their goals by providing hyper-personalized inputs in terms of courses they can take, seminars they can attend. Right? There's just so much happening. And I think a little love and care and the support of a community is what's on offer. Thank you very much for all the advice. And I think we're going away very inspired and uplifted.
I just want to add that a few weeks ago, I heard an interview with 𝗍𝗏 where he sees in the next 20 years that the world will have abundance. And I wish that, and he believes that technology is going to lead us to that place. So that's a brighter future for us to look towards. So thank you so much for, sharing a few very relevant tips for how to make a brighter future for each of us, amongst all of this disruption. Thanks, Shiv.
Thank you. Thank you all. Bye.
Thank you, everyone.